What's your biggest regret from your teenage years? Please like, subscribe and comment so I can create more videos for you. So determined to impress my classmates that I would stretch the truth so I could brag about myself. Now I realize most of them saw through it. If I could only go back, I would slap some duct tape across younger me's mouth. I wish that I had taken mom up on her offer to teach me how to cook during those teenage years. It would have been so helpful, both during college and beyond. It was a missed opportunity because she's a great cook and a natural teacher. All the responsible people on this thread wanted to be more irresponsible and all the irresponsible people wanted to be more responsible. I don't think anyone had enjoyed their teenage years enough to never regret parts of it. It's an unwritten rule to cringe at the teenage years. That I didn't spend more time with my parents before losing them. Mom when I was 19, dad right before I turned 26. Cowardice. I was so unsure of myself and awkward. I know that all teenagers struggle with this, but as I look back now from my 40s, that kid in high school had so much going for him, he just didn't know it. The more he cared about fitting in, the less he fit in, and the worse people treated him. Girls were like an alien species and the future was terrifying. But it didn't have to be. Same here. Just the lack of self-confidence and assuming everyone thought the worst of me at all times was brutal. If I would have just relaxed and enjoyed myself, it would have made a lot of things go much smoother. As a wise woman once said, I wasted all my thin years thinking I was fat. Oh my god this. I thought I was hideous. Looking at photos now, there was nothing wrong with me. I didn't stand up for myself enough. I'm still too worried about how people will react if I say no or refuse to do something. I'm the same way. I even got sexually assaulted the 4th of January on my first ever date because I wasn't allowed to say number. This world is hell. I spent so much time waiting for something to happen. Like sitting on some steps outside of a house waiting for something to happen. Hanging out with people I did not really like waiting for something to happen. I feel like so much time was wasted waiting for something to happen, instead of doing something or making things happen. Blacked out for a second and heard my bird. I felt and still feel so terrible about it. Are you British and talking about a girl, or are you talking about a pet bird? I wore a fedora to prom, and prior to prom I had asked someone out and took the rejection really badly, said a lot of stupid shit on social media and acted out when asked about it. Also, back when it was a thing to add random people on FB, I used to post all sorts of corny, white knight one-liners. Yeah, I'm glad social media wasn't really a thing when I was in high school. We had MySpace but it was nothing like today. Caring about what people think of me too much. I spent the entire time basically being who I thought everyone else wanted me to be. Not becoming more involved in groups activities and not going out on weekends to parties. People who did spend their youth partying say they wish they didn't and people who didn't party regret not partying. You lose either way so I wouldn't worry too much. I wish I had taken more risks. I worried about getting in trouble too much. I missed out on some fun because of that, and tried to play catch up when I was 19, which led to me going a bit too hard through my 20s. I'm okay now, successful and doing well. But there's lots of things I did in my 20s that I might not have done had I got it out of my system in my teens. I'm just lucky things turned out okay for me. 31 now. This programming stuff is cool, maybe I'll learn it one day. 10 years later I'm just getting started. Man, if I had 10 years of experience under my belt right now I would be set for life. Good for you for getting into it. I am currently a junior in college going for CompC with a focus in cybersecurity. I was previously a business major, but since switching I have become super excited about the field because of the growth and opportunities available. Cliche, but I lost a lot of friends due to excessive online gaming. I kept refusing to go out with them and socializing in general. Plus when college hit I didn't know how to talk to people and how to make friends. Ongoing process. When I was 14 I poured ketchup on our back porch and laid down with my head next to it right as my mom came home from work. She came outside screaming and I laughed. She beat me with her shoe and I was grounded for the weekend. Now that I'm a parent I realize what a real dick fucking move it was and the terror she felt. You know, this sounds kind of like when my mom whooped me for almost drowning. Why you gotta teach me a lesson for almost dying on you? You think I didn't learn enough when I was sinking into the abyss? Edit. I just realized I didn't learn cause I almost drowned again after that. Not doing more productive stuff, and drinking too much. It was fun, but sometimes it was very unnecessary and could have done lots of stuff with that time. Also more sex. Still a teen, but I wish I focused less on isolating myself early on in high school and being a loner with a me versus them mentality. I've stunted myself socially and dug myself into a hole. To be fair, a lot of it stemmed from mental health issues and unresolved trauma, but I was also stubborn as hell and waited way too long to seek help and grow past all of it. I've stunted myself socially and dug myself into a hole. Can you describe this for us? I'm not sure what you mean by this. Getting that girl pregnant and becoming a father at 17. Also, the self-harm. Not spending enough time with my mum. She passed away when I was 16 and I wish I had done more with her. Not keeping up with my friends. It's hard to believe, but the last day of high school was the last day I saw most of them. Only in the last few years I found some of them through Facebook, but things are different now. Breaking up with the nicest guy halfway through final year of school. I regret breaking up with him in general, but also it ruined what should have been an epic time of our life. Since we had all our friends in common, it just sucked. Lots of awkward behavior at parties, drunk and yelling, crying, and that's just what he was doing, never mind me. Word of advice: don't date within your friend group. Friends of friends are fine, but dating within a core group will tear it apart. I've started playing online games and waste time on YouTube other platforms when I was teenager, and I keep wasting my life there. I want to spend less time with a computer, do stuff IRL, but I don't know how to get rid of this addiction. I've been addicted to online games since I was like 11-12, developed a terrible posture and hadn't had many friends IRL and didn't came around a lot. Quitting was really hard. The thing that helped me was moving out from home and starting to study. Having something to do and being in a setting with people in your age helps a lot. It's already 4 months since I touched it the last time. It's really important not to grieve for the things you missed out. Try to visualize what you want and take the steps that are necessary to reach this. Here are some examples you could do. Try to find something you enjoy doing, like going for a run or doing any other sport. Also, you should try to leave your apartment at least once a day and try to socialize with people. Just greet friendly and smile. Look around which activities can be done in your town and just go there. It's gonna be awkward, not gonna lie. But eventually you will find something you like and meet some nice people and have an awesome time. The first steps are important. Don't give up if it won't work at first. Good luck, my dude. It's really worth the try. Don't take for granted what I said, it's just my personal advice. Just because it helped for me doesn't mean it works for you. I just shared my story with some advice that could maybe work for you. It's not a shame to seek for professional help. If I were given the choice now, I would have done it as well. Sorry for my English though, not my main language. Honestly, being more proactive on my education. I could have gotten a scholarship, but I thought getting scholarships were pathetic and was so prideful about it. I didn't know shit back then, but I'm kicking myself now with so much money I put in when I look at my 1,098 tons tuition forms for the government. My sister had cancer and it really affected my relationship with my girlfriend. Sometimes I would just shut down. I really wish I'd handled myself better because she and I were really in love. And I think it was the main contributing factor to us eventually breaking up. Don't beat yourself up over it. Having a close loved one passing can fuck your mental health up hard, especially as a young teen. Edit, grammar. Seeing school as a joke, skipping class, smoking weed, making fun of the nerds. I got a good job with a decent pay, but sometimes I wonder how my life would look if I had studied more. Let me give you the alternative. I was the person who has made fun of, didn't smoke weed, didn't skip class, took school seriously enough to get through it and pass, but didn't try to go the extra mile. I'm currently about to be 25 years old. I have had 2 jobs in my life, neither of which were decent paying. I still live with my family, and there are people who, like you, didn't take school seriously, didn't care, and didn't even graduate, that are living better, happier lives than me with better paying jobs, and then the people who did go the extra mile are living the same as me but with extra debt. The thing about school is that it doesn't really teach you anything you need for life. You can drop out and quit instead of wasting time. And if you go and get the right papers, you can still live better than people who put the time in. Growing up, I was told that I had to graduate high school, but it was necessary, that it was required, and yet people who quit their final 2 years and got a get are better than me. You took the right path. So many missed signals from so many girls. I probably could have had more fun in high school. Oh well. I fell into a massive depression and spent most of my time dwelling on not wanting to be alive. Didn't enjoy those years at all. Would have worked harder on not being so mopey and sad all the time. Not going for the girls I liked. Looking back, I can't believe how many girls I thought were out of my league I ended up having success with once I found my nerve. I'm not a super handsome dude either. I think it's just a matter of confidence. That I worried myself sick over what people thought of me. I was in a constant state of anxiety over it. In reality, I was a pretty and fairly popular girl. But, thanks to my hypercritical mother, I never would have believed that I was anything but hideous. My cringy emo phase is definitely up there. Didn't really listen to much emo music. The closest was maybe Bright Eyes, like the Fevers and Mirrors album, but I wrote a lot of shitty poetry and had the look. I won't post the poetry because it is far too cringe, but here is a CD I found with some of the titles of the poems to give you an idea of just how bad it was. Imgur webpage, and here are some of the pictures that used for my profile on my MySpace and Xanga pages back in the day. Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage, Imgur webpage. Here, Imgur webpage, is my yearbook picture from that year as well. Thankfully, I grew out of it by my senior year, but it was such a regrettable phase. Not trying to get the best grades in school that I was capable of. It was the 60s and 70s, I literally can't remember turning in any homework. I brought sci-fi books to school and read them during class, with the textbook held in front. I half listened to the teacher while doing this. Got B grades in most of my classes. If I'd actually applied myself. Hurting my ex-GF and not sacrificing my own happiness for the time being to get her as little sadness as possible. I was better equipped to handling it than she was as. Edit. Sorry for the confusion, misspelled the first line. Not being more selective about the friends I made. I thought I was a real loser, which I was, but largely because I had that idea in my head to begin with, and I felt I really couldn't be too picky. As a result, I was sort picking from a social slush pile of people who would use me, were generally emotionally unstable, or were too wounded to really be a good friend. It turns out, making social connections is work. You can't just be interesting, you have to show people you are, and they want you to show you are interested in them as well. And flaunting how kind and giving you are, is a bit pathetic because being kind and generous is a minimum requirement for a friend. I thought I was being shunned, but mostly people were just busy with their own lives and friends and barely knew I existed. Being in a long-term relationship. I wish I was single and partied and fucked around. Instead, I wasted my time with my ex and never dated other guys when I was younger. Not teen, but I was 9 in a new country. I got lost coming out of a shopping mall and ended up by a busy highway intersection. There was a pedestrian tunnel under the road, and as I approached it I heard a girl screaming and a guy yelling shut up, and looking back she was definitely getting raped. I was already scared because I was lost and I looked to the road and cars were zooming by. I knew I should help but there was no one around and it took me an hour and a half to walk. home, as I'd spend my money for the bus. Poor girl, I can still hear it all vividly, and I would like to go back and be able to do something. Even if I'd just screamed into the tunnel, he probably would have split. I spent far too many years beating myself up to the brink of suicide over being gay. I wish I could have been a teenager today. Things have changed so much in the last 15 years. Still, I'm glad for those today. Oh man, I have so many. Allowing my abusive stepmother to isolate me from the other side of my family. Acting like a psycho nice guy to the girl I had a crush on. Staying in an unhealthy relationship for a couple years too long. Hiding on my computer all day instead of being social. Not coming out and transitioning earlier even though I knew I should. My teen years really sucked, and I got so depressed over my parents telling me they were the best years of my life. I'm 30 now and life is 1000x better. Not asking out that cute redhead on my senior class. I mean, what did I had to lose? Not being that age again. I was the best pitcher out there. My fastballs smoked. When I was a teen I was bullied for having epilepsy. Kids tried to make me have seizures and tried to push me downstairs. One day I was eating lunch alone. The lunchroom had over 100 students, and 4 boys were laughing and throwing food at me. I snapped. I walked up and asked who's throwing food. They just all laughed and pointed at this guy named Robert, so I picked up his banana, peeled it and stabbed his face with it over and over. I broke his glasses in the process. The boys grabbed me as I kicked and starting beating the hell out of them. I have PTSD from my childhood, so it came out during the fight, which made me lose myself. All the boys were on the floor and I was crying as I walked away, as I did students backed away from me. A teacher I really liked grabbed me and she tried to speak to me. All I did was push her, then I realized it was her and she was pregnant. I kept walking as I cried and a little kid was staring at me, so I yelled, "What are you looking at?" And I slapped him in the face. I literally walked off school campus as the principal followed me, trying to pick me up to bring me back to school, as I screamed at him to leave me alone. After a while he got me back into school. I was crying in the principal's office because I realized I lost control. I didn't get in trouble and the school never called my mom. The next day at school, no one fought with me. They gave me a nickname, Smackdown. Later I found out Robert never threw the food. Robert, if you ever read this, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And to the teacher I pushed, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you. If I did, I am sorry and I hope your child is living a happy life. I feel like I should be in jail and I would happily go if that's what they wanted. I'm too ashamed to contact them and I don't want to hurt them emotionally either. It's not your fault. People break sometimes. You're regretful. If you find Robert out there somewhere, don't be afraid to say sorry. You are stronger now and people make mistakes. That's okay. Studied, worked hard, kept my nose clean, and made the sensible decision almost every time. Giant fucking mistake. I should have gotten drunk, stoned, shot up, and made every irresponsible decision presented to me. Is it just me, or do people regret what they do regardless of what they do? Life is such a fucking rip.